Support for this video is brought to you by Manscaped. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code LJTV at manscaped.com.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Lead Judges TV. I'm your host, Dan Potts. I'm with Lead Judges. I'm with Jess. I'm with Sophie. And I'm with Lucy because we thought we'd bring you something special tonight. We wanted to kind of welcome our ladies from Ladies Night In to talk about Arsenal's... We'll talk about the Arsenal at the moment and what's happening with some of the Arsenal critiques on social media, but also some of the Arteta ins on social media, because it has kind of gone up and down since Thursday night. Thursday night seems to me to just be one result, but it has had a lot of drama that it's caused over the last few days, not helped by some of the results that's occurred today. It's been a very strange few days for Arsenal fans, and I think that there's been some ups and some downs. If I'm honest with you, I believe personally that, and everyone knows my opinion, that that's what you're going to get for majority of this season with a young coach and a young manager. I think the two creates the perfect storm, and I think on Thursday night we saw a lot of naivety from not just the managerial side of things but also on the pitch as well. So let's not go too much into Thursday night. It was days ago. We've all had our say on it. Everybody's aware of what went wrong. I think it was pretty obvious on the pitch. But what I'd like to do is look forward. I'd like to look forward to Monday night, as in tomorrow, because it's a massive game as far as I'm concerned. Now that everybody around us has picked up points, it makes it even more crucial for me to take 3 points tomorrow night against Everton, which are a team that, let's be honest, are probably out of form, to say the least. They've got problems at the board level. They've got problems with ownership level. The fans, they're apparently planning a 27th minute walkout, from what I'm told, from Everton fans, because they're that annoyed with the goings on at Everton Football Club. Will be very interesting to see how that goes. As for the manager, Rafa Benitez is somebody that I would have had at Arsenal. I think the managerial achievement speaks for itself. I think what he's done in his career is fantastic. But we have got Mikel Arteta, who some are saying is doing a great job, some are saying not such a great job. And we want to go into that a little bit more tonight. And that's why we've titled this podcast The Arteta Roundabout, because it seems that we win one game and he's a genius, we lose a game and he's not such a genius. So where do we all stand with it? We're all in different opinions, and we've brought some guests on today to discuss it. I'm going to normally start with myself and Lee, but I'm going to go backwards this time. I'm going to start with Sophie and then go around and ask how things are for yourself. Soph, let's start with you. I want to go into not Thursday night. We've done enough of that. I want to talk about moving forward with this team, with the ownership that aren't going to leave, with the manager who doesn't look like he's going to get sacked, with January only round the corner. How are you feeling as an Arsenal fan right now? Are you positive about things and where we are in the league? Or are you a little bit disappointed with what you've seen so far, 14 games in?
It's a little bit of both. I would say before the Manchester United game, I was optimistic and I was starting to jump on the train a little bit. You know, as you know, I've not been a huge Arteta fan, but what I've tried to do this season is give him the benefit of the doubt and time, based on the fact that he finally has his team. So for me, there's no excuses anymore. There's nowhere for him to hide and there's nowhere for this team to hide. The problem I have is that it's not so much us, it's what's happening around us. I just want to go to bed today. The results in the football and sports today has just left me feeling blue, because when I see, like, Manchester United aren't great, but they have Ralph Rangnick, and you know that he's going to improve them because he looks at the game differently as a tactician. He's worked across a lot of sports teams. He has a tree of influencers from Tuchel to Klopp and many others, that his philosophy, a little bit like the total football of Barcelona, has influenced the heavy metal football. So you can already see in 2 games, even under Michael Carrick, with a change, they've improved, right? Antonio Conte, Tottenham. Now, you could say that maybe fixtures have been kind to Tottenham since Antonio Conte has taken over. But when you lose to like a non-entity team in the European Conference or whatever that bullshit tournament is called, and you can see already he's having an impact. He's doing bits, and tactically, you know that he's going to improve them. And this is only after 2 or 3 games. I'll even go as far as to say Aston Villa. They're clipping at our heels now. 3 wins in 4 for Steven Gerrard. He beats his old boss, Brendan Rodgers, and kind of humiliates him today. But yet also Leicester is still there or thereabouts. So I'm not expecting much from Mikel Arteta. What I'm worried about is what everyone around us is going to be doing and how they're going to be improving. And that, for me, is my biggest concern this weekend. We could have had daylight if we'd have beaten Manchester United. We've been in a situation going into Everton where we could afford a draw. But now we're going into that Everton game when we need a win. And for me, the biggest thing, the Achilles heel since Arteta's taken over 2 years in December, what is our creativity and what is our striker position like? Who's scoring goals? Aubameyang won the Golden Boot in his first season. He almost won it in his second season. He's a shadow of the player. I know he's been garbage, but at the same time, are we setting him up to fail? Are we playing to his strengths? We gave him the contract to build a team around him, and now he's becoming a bit of a scapegoat too, and I've been really hard on him. So there's a lot to digest, but Dan, I have to say that it's starting to feel, and I'm not being melodramatic here, like you don't get a win against Everton. You've got West Ham coming up. You've got Leeds. I mean, talk about get a point for them, how important that was at the end of the game with Bamford coming back. So I think we're going to know a lot more at the end of December in terms of Arteta and this team, because we do have winnable fixtures in December. But don't anyone be under any illusion that tomorrow night's game isn't huge, because it is.
100%, it's absolutely huge. Luce, I'll come to you. Where do you stand on the Arteta scenario and what's happening at Arsenal this season? Because a lot of people are very much either on the fence or definitely have made their mind up now about what they like or dislike about this manager.
The thing is, with Arsenal supporters, we've always been very 0 or 100. It very much is dependent game to game. And just giving Arteta the benefit of the doubt, obviously, the progress has been slow, and showing results against Liverpool and Man United, it's hard to take, because these are always the results that are gonna sort of be your sort of way to prove yourself in any case. But I feel like we need to just take it as each game comes, because giving him the benefit of the doubt, saying obviously the back four, this is the strongest back four we've had in years. I was saying that other day, we've got to be remembering in the fact that we can get quite snobby as supporters. We've just got rid of Mustafi and Bellerin, 2 players that we've been crying to get rid of for years, and brought in Tomiyasu and Ben White, and now we've got the strongest back four, like I said, that we've had for a very, very long time. And I don't know if it's just down to pure luck that some of the decisions that Arteta has made regarding our defence have worked, whether they were the more convenient options, the easier to negotiate options, but they have worked. So we have to give that to him as a manager. Whatever he's doing at the back is working. It's just our midfield and our front line are not either doing the jobs that they've been set out to do, or they're not capable as players to do the job that he's asking them to do. But that's just sort of playing devil's advocate. I think it's, again, very dependent on what happens against Everton and West Ham. Obviously, West Ham's form at the minute is on top. But I completely agree with what Sophie said as regards to progress. Like, against managers like Nuno and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we are a top 6 side. But now, obviously, the situation with Conte, like the situation with Rangnick, like we're now looking at 7th or 8th. In my opinion, it's like you've got to look at how fast other teams are progressing versus how slow we've been, how we've been left behind, and it's just going to continue to get worse. Like you said, Villa's caught up to us, Leicester's caught up to us, like West Ham. Whoever thought that West Ham would be doing as well as they're doing, and they're heading to Champions League qualification. Like, it's a shock to everyone, but this just goes to show how fast football moves now.
Yeah, I think you bring up great points there, Lucy. Just want to bring up a super chat from Rafi, who says he's a big admirer of the channel, and what a lovely panel. Big up from Tel Aviv. Much appreciated, Rafi. Jess, I want to come to you on the points that Luce raised at the end there, because I think what you said was spot on a WhatsApp message earlier. I actually put word for word pretty much the same thing to Lee Judges earlier, as he was taking a long drive back from Manchester, because he's been up there for a few days, bless him. And it was spot on with what you're saying, because although we're close to 4th and everybody is kind of saying what's to worry about, like we're only a couple of points off 4th, everything's great. Actually, we're only a couple of points off 10th now as well. Aston Villa have got, I think they're 4 points behind us now. So it's not looking too great behind us as well as in front of us for some of these teams. I think the front 3, is fair to say, are going to fly ahead. But you made a great point in terms of the managers that these other teams have got. So you look at Thomas Tuchel, you look at Antonio Conte, Pep and Klopp are obvious choices, David Moyes, and now Ralph Rangnick. Brendan Rodgers can probably be put in that bracket as well. And I think, Steven Gerrard has done well at Rangers, looking to do something at Aston Villa. Graham Potter at Brighton isn't too far behind Arsenal now. And I think Bruno Lage at Wolves has done really well. And let's be honest, I didn't expect him to be great at all. So I look at that now and I think that was another experienced head over at Benfica before he come to Wolves. We've got Mikel Arteta, who has obviously not got the experience of some of those. And you can see now why people have been starting to question the regime, and perhaps we haven't got the right guy in charge. I feel personally like Chelsea went down that route with Frank Lampard, realised he didn't work quickly and got the right guy in. Manchester United have decided to stay on much, much longer with Ollie, but have now decided enough's enough. We need to get somebody in with experience like Rangnick. Where do you stand on the manager situation, Jess?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would call myself like critically patient. Like I'm critical, but I'm pretty patient as well. I think it's okay to be critical, sometimes. And when they brought in Arteta, I felt the PR was very clear that he doesn't have experience, but he's somehow this generational young manager that works with young players and can turn them into superstars. And, that's what I felt like we were sold. So in the beginning, it was difficult to see how much of his inexperience was hurting us, and then how much of it was the fact that the players weren't that good. Because I personally did not rate the players. I didn't, not Mustafi, Sokratis, none of them. Didn't think they were any good. So I was willing to wait a little bit longer to see, what he could do with his group of players, and I feel like at this point, when you look at it, it's very difficult to see where the improvements are. I think that there's a lot of soft factor improvements that we see, that we like the players more, that the players are younger. We can kind of see the structure that they're trying to put together. But that's very soft factor. When we talk about what we've seen on the pitch, it's a lot less clear how much we've actually improved. But when you look at other teams that have brought on new managers, you see an instant improvement on the pitch, which is the most important thing. So I think it's more difficult for people that have been really patient at this point to really say that we've improved in the parts of the game that really matter. And I do believe that, now that the soft factor stuff is kind of, there's a better feeling around the place. We feel like we're going in the right direction, la, la, la. Now that is taken care of for the most part, it's now time to see those results on the pitch. And I feel like that's where Arteta is losing us a little bit, is because, yeah, we get it. It's a nicer place to be, but are we going to win games? And the culture of Arsenal is winning, in my opinion. That's what it's always been to me. So it might be a nice place, but we're not winning games. So now I'm looking for those results. So when I see on Twitter that people are saying that the Everton game is just like every other game, and it's not a big match, and if we don't win it, it's not the end of the world. I ask, like, have you looked at the table? If we don't win this game, not only are we falling away from the top six, but the people are the next teams that we thought that we were so much better than a couple of weeks ago are kind of right behind us. So it's a difficult one, but this whole season is, for me, built around whether or not Arteta actually is this generational manager. I expect him to be able to take this group of young players and make good decisions and get us up the table. He needs to coach us into the top six. We never have any expectations of what Arteta is supposed to be doing coaching-wise. We really underrate coaching. There's a big reason why United, as good as they are and as many good players as they have, they've been massively underachieving. That's coaching. So we need to look at what we're getting from a coaching standpoint and ask ourselves, do we really believe that these players are bad and they're just making all these mistakes? Thomas Partey's not a good player. Odegaard's not a good player. Aubameyang's not a good player. None of them are good. Or are we lacking a little bit of coaching? And can Arteta fix it quick? Because as long as we might want to be patient, we can't wait 4 or 5 years to see if he's going to become this generational manager. And personally, I feel like if he was that, we'd see signs of it now. Young, good managers, that starts quick, so it's do or die time for me, but that's just where I am. But I'm critically patient, and this is the season where I need to see if he can coach us up. I'm not seeing it just yet, but I feel like at the end of the season, based on what I've seen, we're close. We're going to be closer to mid-table than that top six, and it's a rough road. I think people need to look at that table and get real. We're not a top four team. We're somewhere mid-table right now. You know.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting point, Jess, what you've said there. I think that we are at the moment playing like that, but actually, I believe personally that we should be a lot better. And this guy's been given a lot of transfer windows and a lot of backing, in my opinion, financially. And I'll come to you on it, Lee, because I know that me and you have had some to-in and fro-in about where we are with Arsenal. We've been as frustrated as each other and as passionate as each other about the wins, but also as annoyed with the losses. I want to ask you, Lee, like this project, Kroenke. I mean, Silent Stan has been as silent as ever. It's Josh Kroenke's project, let's be honest. Josh Kroenke has looked to work with Edu and Vinay, with the board, to get in a young coach and a young style of play in terms of players and coach and playing staff. What do you think are the risks in that, is my first question. And are you seeing some of the risks coming out to play, so to speak, with this long-term project?
I don't care about Kroenkes at this moment in time. They've done their job. They've done their job in January. They give the money to the manager. They've done their job. 150 million, more than anybody else. So I don't know why people want to go on about the Kroenkes all the time. Go to the facts of what you're seeing. Stop blaming other people. I love it that the people, the Arteta people in at the moment, are quickly onto Aubameyang. Get in there. Stick it on him. A player that's won us the FA Cup and done us this and scored goals and all that lot. Rather stick it onto him than the source of what it is. And this is what I'm saying. That I'm going to say a few things about it. I'm fed up. I'm fed up with Arsenal fans telling me how I can support my team and how I can't support my team. I support my team how I like, right? And if it's a flip-flop, if it's one thing or the other, I don't care. I'm supporting it as I see it. And as I see it at this moment in time, I'm seeing us win a few games, lose a few games, and then draw a few games, and everybody's saying it's all right. Bumps on the road, I keep hearing. We're going to get bumps on the road. Well, I suggest you start resurfing this road because there's more bumps down it than I care to want to go down. You know what I mean? If I'll be honest, Manchester United were there for the up for grabs to take points off. Managerless. Let's get this right. Managerless. Ain't won, lost to Watford and things like that. We go up there. I'm saying, yeah, I'll take a point. After 20 minutes, I'm saying, right, we ain't got to take a point for this. We've got to be taking all three. We end up losing the game. Who's that down to? Now, I'm going to say this now. People keep telling me, right, the team has improved, right? And it has improved because you know why it's improved? Because Tommy Asu is a better right back than Bellerin. Ben White is a better central defender than Mustafi. So that is in itself, it's going to improve then. What
Which isn't hard.
The players have improved that. By bringing in players, we've improved that. Then all of a sudden we've improved on that, and the forward line has gone all pear-shaped. Whose fault is it? Now, I just come out of a great point, critical and patient. I'm critical and I'm patient, but patience is running thin. I said all along that these 3 games will be where I judge it from. Not the first 3 games. I'll let him go. I'll give him a free pass on those 3, which I've been slagged off for along the way. Then we go on to the Liverpool game. I did say what I said about that. These 3 games. Newcastle, difficult game because of where it was and all that. Done the job, 2-0. Manchester United fouled. Everton is his now game. If he fouls that game or we lose that game or we draw that game, where we are in the league is where we stay, 7th. £150 million spent in the summer and we go up 1 place after 6 months. I'm also going to say this. David Moyes took over at West Ham 1 week after Mikel Arteta. People keep telling me West Ham are in for a chance now of the top 4, and rightly so. Not spent as much money as Arsenal. Were they in such a terrible state like Arsenal? This is another thing that gets on me. Arsenal were in this terrible, terrible, terrible state. Well, West Ham not in the same sort of position as us, and all of a sudden now they're a top 4 side.
Crystal Palace lost 15 players at the beginning of the season. Is that not a state? All of a sudden, I see something on them. But oh no, let's give it more time. Let's give it more. Excuse after excuse after excuse. I'm not having no more excuses. I can tell you that now. Am I looking forward to Monday night? No, I'm not. Do you know why I'm not looking forward to Monday night? Because I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know what I'm going to get. I look forward to Thursday thinking that we can do it, and I've been hurt. People then turn around at me and say, look, the way you support Liverpool. Do you know what? I'm glad I went to Liverpool thinking that we're going to lose, because you know what? It didn't ruin my next 3 days like it has this time, because I expected to win this game or expected us not to lose. The expectation kills you, all right? And what I expect from Arsenal now, I don't know what to expect. To tell you what I do get, though, every single game we lose is excuses. Every time we win, I get all the people coming up there, let's trust the process and all that. And I'll say another thing. You know what I mean? When Arsenal win a game, right, all the Arteta in come and tell you that's how you support the team. When you lose the game, all the Arteta out ones come and tell you how to support the team as well. You know what I mean? What you got? You look at your own thing. There's two agendas going on at this football club all the time, and it's doing my head in. Support the team, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, don't be afraid to say that what's right and what's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, the Arsenal, you know what I mean? You've got people expecting us to go to Liverpool and win. You've got people then turning around and when Liverpool get beaten by, or Chelsea get beaten by, look, they've gone and look at that. West Ham have beaten Liverpool. They've beaten them at home. The difference when you go away from home, mate, get your expectations right and get it how it is. Now, I'm telling you this now. Our Arsenal, and when everybody keeps saying to me, a mid-table team, we've got better players than West Ham. I'll tell you that now. That's no diss. I'm not slagging West Ham off here, right? But we have got better players than West Ham. So why does everybody keep coming into me? West Ham can get top 4. With Europe, by the way, another thing that was said that will help us out, like, you know, because we'll have more time on the training ground to coach these players. You know what I mean? Since the day of the first game of the season to now, I've seen no improvement from our forward line. Not one. But we train every 3 days because we've not got Europe. Right? I see West Ham improving. And the next thing, before I finish this rant, because it's getting me down there, like, inexperienced manager, just said Dan. He's had 2 years in the job. I'm not giving him that pass no more of inexperience. He has 2 years in the job and he should be getting it right. We've got Aubameyang that looks like Bambi, not like Aubameyang. You know what I mean? Bloody awful the other day. Like, you know what I mean? Absolutely awful. I didn't see, you know, we're going to games with 10 men. So whose fault is it that we're playing the man every single time and playing with 10 men? Now, I'm saying that if he loses to Everton, we're a mid-table team again, 2 years down. Listen, if he wins that game, get behind him and make sure that we try and do it, because we've got to win now on Monday night. It's no draw in the game or whatever, because even a draw puts us in 7th or 8th. By the way, and another little thing, when you say about managers, Conte come to Tottenham, we was 5 points in front of them. We are now 2 points behind with the same games.
Unbelievable.
Spurs have one
and I
game
think-
in hand.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
They had their game called off, didn't they?
Yeah,
I
they've got
was
a
going
game.
to say, Lee, as well, just to touch on your point, which I wholeheartedly agree, by the way, this whole, if you don't support Arteta, then you're not supporting Arsenal, right? Or if you criticise anything for anything, any player, then, you're not getting behind the team, you're toxic. Well, then you better start paying for my season ticket, to be honest, because if I didn't love the club, I wouldn't want us to do well. So for me to sit here and say, I want to win games, if that's toxic, then I'm toxic. I'm not trying to go to a game every week out, sit in the freezing cold, singing "I love Arsenal" if you hate Tottenham, and then watch us lose 3-0 or watch us get battered at Liverpool. That's not what I'm trying. That's not love for the club. What is it? Your comment in the chat the other day, Dan, which had my dad and me in absolute fits of laughter. Some of these people want Arteta to have more windows than Microsoft. That had me dying, because it's so true. If you continue with this, trust the process, I'll give him time. how much more time do you want this man to have to turn it around? Because like you said, you've got West Ham 1 week prior, they were in the same situation as us. So time is no longer an excuse. Don't want to hear it anymore. Completely agree.
But that's the thing. It's when you look at other teams that have changed their managers, do you think they're having conversation amongst fans whether or not they've improved or not? We have conversations all the time dissecting all types of statistics, going through everything, watching these games and trying to figure out we should definitively know whether we've improved or not. You can ask a West Ham fan right now and say, have you improved under Moyes? They would say yes. You know? Like,
I would even say, Jess, I would even say Villa fans can answer that. I would even say, even though Norwich lost to Tottenham today, I think that they can see maybe there's some hope with Ben Smith.
I mean, we don't have any definitive answers because it's all soft factor stuff. It's feel good. You know, we don't have the Ozils and all of them still here. So it feels better around the place. But quite frankly, what you pay for with your coach, that's why they get paid, is to get the results on the pitch. You know, all that soft factor stuff right now doesn't matter anymore. Because if we're not winning, soft factor doesn't mean anything. We're just a nice club that doesn't win games, and nobody wants that.
And also, you've got to look at, like, the Manchester United game. This is an argument Kevin and I have all the time. Is it the manager or the players? It's both. They're all responsible. They're all culpable, correct? But there are certain games where a manager makes decisions that have an impact on the game. If we're going to laud him for making a substitution that results in a goal or a good result, then we should be able to criticize him for when he makes bad decisions. That Manchester United game was there to be done and killed off in the first half, and it didn't happen. Why do the players retreat when we go a 1-0 up? Why is it against Manchester United we showed them so much respect, and we showed this Manchester United, we showed Manchester United Football Club the respect, not that we didn't play the team. Dan said it the other day, we played the badge, right? Leicester, we showed no mercy against Leicester. We showed no mercy against Tottenham. Why then go to Old Trafford when you know the game's there for the taking and then play the way that we did? I think those are the bits and bobs that really annoy some fans about Arteta and the way he manages and how he manages the game and his substitutions as well. It's very important. Like Jess said earlier, coaching is important. It has a massive effect. Otherwise, why would we be lauding all these coaches? You got to ask yourself, the Europa League 2 legs against Unai, he lost us that. His decisions and him putting square pegs in round holes lost us that. And for the first time in 20 years, we weren't in Europe. He's got to make up for that this season, because without European football, we're not attracting any top-tier player, period.
And I think you're right, Sophie, in terms of European stuff as well. But I think that night should have been Mikel Arteta's last as Arsenal manager, in my opinion. I stand by it. I've not seen anything to suggest that there is any justification for keeping someone who loses to the guy you sacked, right? So where I look at it now is, where can we see progress? And let's be honest, we can see certain parts of it that are starting to come together. But like Lee said, that ain't down to coaching. It's down to bringing in different players. So you'd like to think that by buying a new back line, you might be better defensively. But let's look at things one more by what Lucy's saying. And, you know, I did say that comment about, you know, Arteta needs more windows than Microsoft, because I think it's true. I didn't see Unai Emery being given 6 transfer windows and time to have 3 seasons where he could pick his own side. Apparently he wanted Zaha, they gave him Pepe, he wanted Partey and Upamecano, and we got David Luiz and Ceballos. That to me ain't backing the manager. But actually, we have been giving this manager some backing with who he wants. He wants every single one of those players. There's only Lacazette and Pepe that he hasn't either signed and given an extension to or signed for the football club. So every other player is his. So there's none of this, he needs more windows. I've heard so many people, he needs the window to buy strikers now. Come on, we've spent 300 or 400 million on our centre forwards in Pepe and Lacazette and Aubameyang, the most expensive 3 front men in the Premier League, and he can't get them scoring. It's an embarrassment when I look at that. So I think there are some positives for sure, but certainly in the final third, I'm not convinced at all. Our goal differences are shambles. Lee, sorry, you wanted to come in.
No. What I will say is this, right? If Arsenal come 5th and Man United come 4th, I can turn around and go, do you know what? Yeah, because they've got some world-class players and they've got players in there that, you know, I accept. But when people are saying we're going to come 6th or 7th and giving Mikel Arteta another, that's fine. When those teams are West Ham, Leicester, and Tottenham, right? Yeah, and Wolves. You're telling me that they've got better players than us? Have they? Eckers like, you know what I mean? Like there shouldn't be. We should not be accepting anything other than that. If you get 4th and it's a close race between us and Man United, look, listen. At the end of the beginning of the season, I would have said 5th is what I was looking at in realistic terms, because Man United bought Ronaldo, blah, blah, blah. But Man United are off the rails at the moment. They struggled against Crystal Palace today, now people will turn around and go, yeah, well, we drew with Crystal Palace, so fair thing from that. But why I look at it, and I say this, is that a good team with a good mentality goes to Manchester United and they come back without losing that game of football. And that's what worries me, is that we've gone to there, we've played them off the park in the first 20 odd minutes, corner after corner. We went 1-0 up and then we sat back. Right, I look at that and I go, okay, Man United a good side, they've forced us back on our heel. Did they Eckers like? Because as soon as it went 1-1, we started playing again. The frustration of it all, like we started taking it to them again. So it's a mental thing. You know what I mean? Now, this is not the first time it's happened, 3 or 4 times. So why are we allowing it to continue to happen? Whose fault is that?
Well, does the mentality come from the manager? Or I think that's why I always try to figure out, because I feel like you take on the personality of your manager. And I think, like, I know people probably don't want to hear this, but I think the last couple of years of Arsene being there, he didn't have a strong personality. You could kind of tell he was kind of on the downslope. Unai Emery was never a strong-minded manager. And then you go to Arteta, who I feel like is struggling. This may just be projection, but it feels like he's struggling to get buy-in from the older players. And he's always struggled getting them going. And when you don't have that, then it's kind of like people are constantly questioning you, and then you don't have buy-in. So I tend to think that, like, even though it's the players, if you're telling them, either you're telling them to back off and you're telling us in the press that you're not, or you're telling them not to and they're not listening. Both issues are your fault. If the players are not listening 100%. To you, then there's something you're not doing right, because they're not listening to what you're saying. So I don't know. It feels like it's coming from Arteta, but then people will say it's the players. But the straw that broke the camel's back for me is people telling me that Thomas Partey's a crap player when he's won the Champions League. I'm not listening to it anymore. I can't hear it. They're not bad players. They're not being coached well. Arteta needs to coach them better, I feel like. That's where I draw my line.
Every team is, I say this on our show all the time, every team is built in the image of the manager, right? And Pep and Klopp and Conte, are on Tuchel, are on another level. But when you look at United under Ole, they never had an identity. Even though he's a legendary player, they never had an identity. Lampard and Chelsea, he did bits, but they never truly had an identity. And Tuchel comes in, look what he does. Even Michael Carrick was able to give them somewhat of an identity over like 3 games. And I always ask, in 2 years, what is our identity? What is the personality, the DNA and the character of this team? I see it in Ramsdale as a player. I see it in Gabriel as a player. I see it in Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe as players, Tomiyasu as players. But as a collective group, as a team, what is our culture and our identity? And I feel like sometimes...
And I start a play, Soph. What is it?
It's all over the place. We used to be a possession-based team, but now more teams are playing counter-attacking football. So we get hit on the counter and then we're screwed, and then their heads go down and we just look embarrassed to be there. And I feel like when you've got someone like Tuchel on the sideline, you've got Conte, they've got a lot of respect to their name, and Arteta doesn't necessarily have that. And I do feel like he's lost a lot of the players in the dressing room. They don't really stand for him. I feel like it's a very difficult situation, and it's hard to have respect for a guy that when you're 3-2 down to Man United, you're bringing on Nketiah and taking off Aubameyang.
Luce, defend that for me. How can anyone defend that decision?
Everyone
I
I've
don't know.
spoken to, there's not a single person who would say that is. I mean, is it because he thinks we don't have the personnel, or because he genuinely thinks that Nketiah could turn things around, or because Aubameyang's having such a tough time? It's kind of to show him like, oh, this is what you get for not putting yourself
I think
about
it was
a bit
that,
more.
Luce. I think it was that. I think it was, I'm so sick of you, I'm going to bring on Nketiah.
I'm going to
Because
humiliate you.
he wasn't going for the game. If you're going for the game, you take off Tomiyasu or you take off a DM and put an attacking player on. You switch forwards for forwards, and then you brought in two strikers who neither of them are in contract anymore. That to me is a point that he made. But the one thing that I can think of is the last time that we won a big game, it was also the last time that he had senior player buy-in, and that was during the FA Cup run. We have not won another big game under Mikel Arteta, and I think it's because he doesn't have buy-in from the big senior players. I just have this weird feeling that they don't rate him. And with a young project, if you don't have a manager that the senior players buy into, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. He needs to figure out. And when you go away from
and
Arteta,
that was Emery's team.
Yeah.
That wasn't his team.
100%.
I will say this, in his defence, to go to one of those big teams and win is difficult, right? Yeah, it's a tough ask. You're saying go to Liverpool. Yeah, they're not doing it away from home, Jess. I'm talking about away from home, to go to them away from home and get those results. I mean, we beat Chelsea home and away last year, but it's difficult. Now, I'll tell you, we beat Chelsea last year away from home when it didn't really matter. Let's be honest, you know what I mean? There weren't the pressure on it as it would be if you was to go to Chelsea now. What I'm saying is about this, and people are saying in the chat, oh, is it his fault because Martinelli missed? Well, I'm not saying it's his fault on all of this sort of things, you know what I mean? Like chances are missed and all that. What I'm saying is that why did you, as a manager, allow the team for 40 minutes to drop back when you was 1-0 down? Now, someone come up.
Did it against Palace, Lee, as well? Did it against Palace? Same thing.
Yeah, a great point. Someone said a great point. When Arteta was successful and had a good run in the team, it was when the games were being stopped with 20 minutes to go. Do you remember we had the drinks break?
Oh, the drinks breaks, yeah.
And so you can imagine if 20 minutes are gone, you could then get in there and talk to his team, and then he could get them back up again, But he can't do that now. So there's got to be another way of doing it. You don't allow that to happen. And that was the frustrating point for me, and why I'm really still annoyed about this game is because this was a game. I'm not saying that we should have gone on and won that game, but we had an opportunity not to lose that game of football. And for whatever reason, I don't care about mistakes made by players. I don't care about missed chances. Because you know what? In a game of football, players will make mistakes and players will miss chances. It happens every single week. It's what you do and deal with it. And, Russ has just said that we need a captain on the pitch. I believe that we do need a captain on the pitch. But whose decision was it to give him the captaincy, and whose decision is it to still keep him as captain? You know what I mean?
It's great points.
You can't keep blaming other people all the time. It stems from one thing: manage properly. 4 games now. 4 games Aubameyang's played poor, and I'm wishing him every game to play well. Don't get me wrong. How many poor games did Pepe have before he was out?
That's such a good point. I was just going to bring that up, Lee. He has 5 minutes of a bad game. Can you imagine if Pepe would have played as badly as Aubameyang against Watford and missed a penalty and take the Odegaard goal away? He'd have been dumped out the side.
And Martinelli?
4 games later.
That's what I'm trying to say is, how many good games does Martinelli need to have before he started?
Absolutely, Luce. But apparently he wasn't ready. I don't understand it. I really don't. I've got a couple of super chats that I've got to bring in, but I just want to ask Lee something really quickly. If Aubameyang's carrying on playing on Monday, Lee, and he has a poor game, are you blaming Aubameyang or Arteta? Or both?
Look, if Aubameyang plays on Monday night, I'll be giving him every bit of support I possibly can. I'm wishing that it goes. If it works, then, fantastic. If it doesn't, down to the manager. Down to the manager that keeps continuing to play. I'll tell you what, I'm going to say, I'll tell you what will happen now. Smith Rowe's got a slight groin injury, so we're leaving him out. Off goes Aubameyang to the left-hand side, and he'll maybe play Martinelli up top or whatever, or Martinelli will play, or whatever. somewhere along the line, you make big decisions. And I can tell you something about managers. You can be lucky somewhere along the line, because last season it was Smith Rowe coming in at the right time that say, you know, something needs to happen that may decide the fate of Aubameyang. It might be that he gets injured, or it might be that, you know, he goes to the left-hand side now and he starts doing the business, you know. But I'll tell you what someone said to me, you know, the Mikel Arteta brigade that want you to come in like, yeah, but Aubameyang, you know, why haven't you played Martinelli? Well, Martinelli can't hold the ball up. Aubameyang can't hold the ball up, but he continues to play in the team. You know what I mean? Don't keep making excuses for it. Say it how it is. You know, say it how it is. Aubameyang is part of his game. Get a Martinelli in now. And I'll tell you what, I thought that was the shining light for me.
He was the positive, wasn't he? He was the positive.
Real quick, I'm in
Go
the
on.
chat and I'm chatting with some folks, and this has to stop. Like, people saying we're just talking because, you know, one needs to build content, or what's happened today to get everyone so mad. If you're not seeing what's happening around us, okay, then, and if you're not like super heightened about tomorrow, then I don't know what to say. But the loss against Manchester United was a massive, massive loss. We should have at least walked away from that game with a point. Just stop this mad. This is what pisses me off about our fan base sometimes. Why can't we have a discussion? You agree and you think Arteta's a great manager. Fine. I perhaps think that we could do better. When you see other clubs around the world who replace managers, Jesse March, who was superb in his previous position, got 17 games, and he's out at RB Leipzig. The ruthlessness of football. This is where the owners are to be questioned. What do you want? What kind of team do you want? What kind of culture do you want? You can say all you want about Chelsea. Their managerial revolving door has yielded trophy after trophy after trophy after trophy after trophy. Manchester United made a move now because they're still in with the shout.
100%. That's my question to the fans that say, like, oh, why you guys love to moan, it's so tough. Why do you not want better for your football club? If you love this club so much, why do you not want us to win? Why are you so content to go to games every week and watch us play mediocre or just about bang average football? Why do you not want to watch some, like, the remarkable stuff that we used to watch back in the day, like that I could only dream of seeing again and being old enough to remember it properly? Like, why do you not want that for your club? Why am I the one that doesn't love the club because I want us to do better?
Well, then this is the best time. This is the best time to start really looking at Arteta too, because there's nothing really stopping him from being successful at this point, in my opinion. He has his players. This team is not crap. I stand by that. I'm so sorry. I think another manager walks through the door, and in 2 weeks you see Aubameyang and those attacking players scoring goals, because quite frankly, you guys, Arteta decided not to play to our attackers' strengths, and that's why we're not scoring goals. The players that he has put like in the attack now don't score goals. If we just played on the counterattack and did it well, we'd be banging in goals, but he wants to play like Pep. So that's what we have to suffer through. But this is the perfect time to start really being more critical, because he does nothing standing in the way. There's no Ozil to blame. There's no Guendouzi to blame. He has his own back line. He has the Cronkies in his pocket. So there's no better time than now to start really looking at it. It doesn't matter if we're winning or losing games right now. Like, if you don't feel good about Arteta, it's okay to say so. And if you like him, then that's okay. Like, but why can't we have a conversation? It's like, well, you guys should wait to see if we're going to win the game tomorrow. No, because in the grand scheme, like, it doesn't matter. If you don't feel good about what we're doing, you should say it, whether we're winning or losing. It's fine.
Just preach it, Jess.
Listen, I've gone up to Manchester this week, you know, like one of the lucky ones, or unlucky, as you say. But at the end of the day, that's my choice, right? And I've gone up there, and I am annoyed after that game. I'm annoyed. I am pissed off because we've lost that game. I'm upset. It's still bugging me in the way we've lost. When we win, I'll perhaps go over the top as well, guys. When we win, I'll go over the top. We're the best team sliced bread. Do you know why? Because I'm a bloody supporter, and that's what you do. You know what I mean? So what happens when Arsenal lose? Oh, you better not say, you know, this on that because you're a bad supporter. Again, people telling you how to support your club. I'm not having it no more, right? You know what I mean? I will moan. Do you know what? I will moan, and I don't care. I'm fortunate. We're fortunate enough we can moan on here, and we've got a little bit of a platform. But do you think I didn't moan on the way home after the game on Thursday when there's me and a couple of others in a car? Do you think I didn't moan? Do you think we had the radio on, laughing and joking like? Of course we moaned, and
That's what you
every
do.
single player was crap. Every this and that probably went over the top, but that's what you do. That's what fans do. And do you know what? I walked into the hotel room. This is what I said, right? That's it. I'm done with going to the big games no more. I'm not having it like, you know what I mean? Kevin phoned me up and said, "You're going Everton on Monday." I said, I'm trying to sort something out now, Kev. Like, you know, 20 minutes later, I'm sort of going, you know, but I thought you said you weren't going. Yeah, but like, that's what fans do. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
we get kicked in
And
the
Lee-
head, goolies, and then
one
we go
thing-
again.
One thing that really bugs me about Arsenal fans is when you question it and say, "I'm not really convinced by this manager." "Oh, just get behind the team, get behind the manager." Hang on, that's what I've been doing for the last 35 years. What the hell are you talking about? I go to every home game and every away game I can. Just because I'm questioning the manager doesn't make me a bad fan. Doesn't mean I'm not behind him. Doesn't mean I'm not behind the players. Doesn't mean I'm sitting there every time we score going, "Oh, that's a shame. He's got another bloody week in the job now that we've won." I want us to go on unbeaten for the rest of the season and win every single competition that we're in. And I don't understand. I played with fire earlier, or last night, should I say. I went on a platform called Twitter. And decided to put a poll up about Arteta and his job. And we've just done it in the chat. It's been very, very similar to what it was. And then I said, this is an interesting stat. A lot of people are saying the top four isn't good enough. The squad, isn't good enough for top four. But if we had another manager in, then we would. Then all the Arteta ins started clicking, "Yeah, he's doing a great job, he's doing a great job." And then it flew up to like nearly 80% of how much of a great job he's doing. That's how toxic the fan base are. It's too bitter of a pill to swallow to say that things aren't going right. You can't question the team. That's why so many Arsenal fans sit on a fence, because they don't want to go one way or the other, because they receive abuse online. I hate it. You should be able to support your club. You should be able to. If you want Arteta in, then that's fine. If you want Arteta out, then that's fine. We're Arsenal fans. We debate opinion.
And I hate losing to Man United. I hate losing to Man United. I'm a fan. I don't want to lose to Man United. Two teams I never want to lose to ever. At the beginning of the season.
Man United and Tottenham.
Yeah.
This is the thing, guys. Lee, I know you were saying, like, obviously about the fans choosing how you support. People say to me, "Oh, you moan so much, you may as well just go and support Tottenham if you don't like how we've been run." I feel like if you're content with watching us lose every week, then go watch Tottenham, because you'll really like that club over there, because they lose every week as well. And I'm not being funny. All these Arteta in supporters telling me how to support. I had someone say to me the other day in the chat, and they were like, "Oh, the negative comments, the criticism, it ruins the atmosphere." Do you know what would help the atmosphere? If we were winning games.
Absolutely.
That's what helps the atmosphere, not me being pissed off because we conceded a silly goal and couldn't score in 3 open ones. That's not affecting the atmosphere. What's affecting the atmosphere is us losing because the decisions being made off the pitch and on the pitch are the wrong ones. Not me. I'm not the problem, bro.
You're not the problem.
You're not the problem. That Harry Maguire penalty decision. If you're not pissed off about that, that could have been a point. Like, these are the things that we've seen in that game, and in addition to the fact that we had the chance to even get a point, that pissed us off too. Didn't even go to VAR. Didn't even go to a review. So, that's the game that's always going to be. We're going to be measured by these teams. It's okay you beat Norwich, great. Luckily, Burnley, Brighton.
Man United and Spurs are going to beat those teams, and that's why I don't understand. It's like, well, as long as we beat the small teams, well, yeah, we have to do that. We have to do our assignment. They're going to beat them as well, but then also we're telling ourselves that we don't have to even lay a glove on any of the top 3 teams. They're going to get points against some of those big teams.
West Ham already have.
Yeah, and that's why I don't understand. It's like, if you guys want to be close to there, you have to start, the mentality has to be a little bit different. I honestly think this little bit of shakiness started after the Liverpool match, because a lot of people convinced themselves that we were going to be closer to them, and we weren't. We were not competitive in that match, really, and that shook our confidence. I think it started then. I really, really do, because the lies started there, that we didn't even, we didn't lay a glove on them, but then other teams can. And I know it's not that easy. Some teams match up better than others, but we were really off in that game, and that kind of started it. But we don't need to just beat the small teams. We do need to take some points off of the bigger boys, and we're just not competitive in those matches at
100%.
all. And you have to look at it.
That's why we're all moaning about Man United. Because like the Liverpool game, we could accept that because everybody tells you that they're far, far better than us. But Manchester United weren't. So you go to Man United and you get beat. Of course, everybody's going to have the ump. The worst thing about this weekend is we didn't play it today. So we could just get it out of our systems. You know what I mean? Like, and if we win tomorrow, listen, we come on here tomorrow night and Arsenal have won. I guarantee not one of us on here will be moaning. Do you know why we won't be moaning? Because we're Arsenal fans and we're happy when we're bloody winning. And that's all it comes down to. And the reason we've got simple is we didn't win against Manchester United. End of.
And Kevin Campbell always says it, doesn't he? Winning cures everything, and he is kind of right. Guys, I've got to bring these super chats in because we've got like 4 of them, and I'm so behind on them. Sorry, Soph, go on quickly. Go on.
I was going to say, I couldn't celebrate beating Newcastle. I tried, and I said even on the show, I can't get too excited. And then Kev's like, "Why? Get excited? We won because it's Newcastle. If we beat Everton, they haven't won in 7-8 games."
And I am with you.
The tide will turn eventually for them too, and I hope it's not tomorrow night.
I am with you. And when we win, Sophie, it has to be a convincing win, not 1-0 against Norwich, Burnley, Newcastle, Watford. We actually need to convincingly beat these teams, in my opinion, that are below us by a few goals, and it doesn't seem that we can do that. First super chat I've got to read these out because we've got quite a few of them. Thank you all for your kind donations. Absolutely amazing. First of all, from Yellow, he says, Ollie, rightly so, Ollie still finished 18 points ahead of us last season. Unbelievable. But true. The other one I'm going to read out, Lee, I'm going to put this one to you. It's from Christopher Leach. Chris, thank you so much. Arteta's a novice, he says. We've lost to the top 4 heavily every season. The board don't have the balls to sack him. Lee judges for interim. Do you think that's true? When do you think the board might say, actually, enough's enough, Mikel?
I don't know with this board. That's where I will question the board, and I think Russ has said that in the chat. When will I question the board? You know what I mean? Like, listen, they're putting a lot of money this season, and I think if they put in like 150 million and they end up 8th, I'm pretty sure they're not going to be happy. Like, if they're not, you know what I mean? Like, then there's a problem.
There has to be some sort of like. I don't think there is. I don't think there's a contingency plan. I think they're all in on Mikel Arteta. I think we're very similar to Man United in that way, where they went deep down the road with Ollie and kept letting him come back from the abyss because it's easier to keep him in than do the right thing. But there has to be some sort of requirement for him to get better as a manager. And that has to be European qualification at the very least. I mean, we're talking about making the top 6. We've stopped. Top 4 is like a myth at this point. European qualification has to be the bare minimum standard. And if he's not getting that with this team, we're in trouble. So I feel like
and while we're out of Europe, Jess, as well this season. We're out of Europe this season.
Exactly. But I will say this, and part of me likes this, and I will say that, is that they're going to back the manager. I like that. Arsenal have always done that. Let's not get this. Be honest about this. Arsenal have always backed the manager as best they can. I kind of like that they're going to give him every opportunity to be successful. So also, if then the next manager, who's whoever it's going to be, will be looking at it and going, do you know what? I'm going to be given a chance as well, like, so it might make you decide to come to there instead of go to Chelsea because you've got a chance. I do think that there is that with Arsenal.
But Lee, I don't think they're backing him for the right reasons. I don't think they're backing him because they genuinely believe that he can do something. Well, that's another. They don't have another plan.
That is a great point, Lucy. What are they backing him for? Is a great point. Is a great.
I mean,
Jess, I wanted you to come back in because I know you had something else to say. Go on, Jess.
The only thing I was gonna say is that, like, at the end of the day, I just don't understand why it's not okay to ask yourself if you think he's coaching us well enough. A lot of this project is contingent upon him becoming the manager that they marketed to us, which is this young generational manager. And I want to ask people in the chat box, can you tell me definitively that you know that Mikel Arteta is a good manager? Is he a good coach? Can you say yes? Can you honestly say yes? Do you think that he's a good coach? If you can't say yes, then we're in trouble. We should know now.
Yeah,
I was going to say, why does he get a pass and Emery was crucified by fans?
Thank you.
Why can't we apply the same logic?
Emery with a proven track record, who then went on to win another Europa title, the most successful Europa League manager, and he didn't get backed, but Arteta is invincible in the eyes of our board. And that is because, in my eyes, they don't have a plan B. Like Jess said, they don't have a contingency plan. So it's not, oh, we believe he can do a good job. It's, we've got to find someone else if he doesn't, and we don't know how to do that because we're in a state. Let's be honest.
And the Cronkies haven't got themselves an exit strategy, let alone the manager. Luce, I want to bring you this one to you. This is from DNYG. Thank you for your kind donation. Arsenal needs a better striker. Will it be difficult to attract the right replacement without any Champions League football to offer? Love the content, Lee. Thank you, DNYG. Luce, over to you.
It's always going to be difficult without the possibility of a European title because good players want to win titles. That's just the be all and end all of it. You're not going to come to a club if you don't see any ambition. It's like back in the day, we all had a go at Robin van Persie because he left to join Man United. What did he do? He left and he went and won a title. You can't blame players for wanting to win things. And that's why I can't give respect to Harry Kane, despite the fact that he's a good footballer. He clearly has no ambition. So I don't want him at Arsenal. That's the be all and end all. So yes, do you need Champions League football in order to attract good players? Not necessarily, but you need some sort of ambition. And I don't think our board and our club has enough ambition to do so.
Before I bring Sophie in, because I've got a great super chat for Sophie to answer, do you feel, Luce, that it's Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, Eddie, Balogun that we should be looking at? Or is it that Arteta hasn't got the best out of these strikers? Because people are saying we need strikers, everything will be fine once we get strikers. My fear is, Lucy, that we'll get strikers in and we'll play this same style of football where they can't score goals.
I think it's both, honestly. I think Arteta has a superiority complex with these group of players, and Aubameyang mentally is just not there. He's not been the same player for a while. He obviously just doesn't want to be there, and whether the captaincy, taking that away from him, would cause too much friction, that it would cause more issues, is maybe the reason why he still has it. I don't know. But Aubameyang is definitely not pulling his weight. And to that, I say, then just go. I'm not interested in having players who aren't interested in playing for the club and playing for the shirt. So at this point, I love Lacazette. I think his work rate is amazing, but I feel like the frustration that he has with Arteta for constantly dropping him and playing Aubameyang, and the same with Martinelli, like it's an ongoing situation that is kind of down to the Aubameyang thing. And until that's sorted out, then I don't really know what's going to happen, to be honest.
Fair enough, Luce. The final couple of super chats I've got, one from Chris saying Arteta should be managing Aldershot, not Arsenal. But Soph, I've got to give this one to you. It's from Lucy's father, good friend of the show, Gunnar Russ. Russ has asked, and I'm going to put this one to you, Soph. He's not asked you this, but I'm going to put it to you. Russ has said, if it's not the Cronkies' fault, then why has he not sacked Mikel Arteta? Sophie.
Because they've invested too much. They're not going to sack him now. When he should be sacked is if we don't qualify for Europe. Last season, Arteta broke every Arsenal record for all the wrong reasons. And everyone said that he deserved to have another window where he would be able to assemble his own team, right? And he showed ruthlessness in January. Edu showed ruthlessness in January. One of our best windows ever, getting rid of the toxicity. But let's be honest, we got rid of those players for free. We had to give them away. Nobody wanted to buy them. Xhaka, for example, coming off a Euro 2020 campaign where he was one of the best players in the tournament, could not sell him for the value we wanted. What makes us think we're going to be able to sell him on for the value that we want next summer, right? So we make all these terrible, terrible decisions. But the owners don't pick the team. The owners don't pick the formation. The owners don't make the subs. And that is why right now it's on the manager and the players. Both of them together have to figure out a way. If we do not qualify for Europe, he cannot still be Arsenal Football Club manager. He just can't. And it's not because we can win a European trophy, Dan. It's the players that we can attract by having European football. Without European football, we stay in the same place and we don't move forward as a club.
Great points. Jess, what's your thoughts on that, mate?
I mean, I think that we all know, I feel like, I'm not going to speak for everybody. I think it is their fault that they hired him in the first place. I don't think a rebuild necessarily requires a manager that's never managed before. I would say it requires the opposite. To rebuild, you probably need somebody that's been there before. And we chose somebody that's never done it before. And so I don't necessarily feel like he was the right answer to begin with. In regards to, like, how much blame goes where, this has always been my issue with the Cronkies is they've always spent money. It's a myth that they've never spent any money. It may not have been out of their pocket, but they've released funds through Arsenal to get players in. And we've just never had the right people in charge to make the right decisions. Our DOFs and the executives and the managers have never been the right people. So it is their fault that they don't hire well. That's a part of your business. You're not a well-run business if you don't hire the right people. But in the grand scheme, like, Arteta it is on him. I just feel we just do a lot of player blaming. And when you look at Aubameyang, he's 32 years old. You could say that he fell off the age cliff, but he's an excellent athlete. And I see other 31-year-olds, 32-year-olds, 35-year-olds still playing very well, so I don't necessarily know if I believe that all these players are just playing bad and it doesn't have anything to do with Arteta. So for me, I just feel like if you look at the timeline, the minute Aubameyang fell off was the minute that we stopped playing to his strengths. And when you do that, can you really expect somebody to play well if you're not playing to their strengths, especially a 32-year-old that's been around the block, so I don't know. And I know that people are in the chat box saying, like, wait until the end of the season. Again, I'm critically patient, but I'm still going to say how I feel in the moment, even though 100%. I still am leaving room for things to change. Do I believe that they're going to? Not necessarily. I'm not seeing very many signs that I feel like he's going to turn. We're going to be in the top 4 and really be kicking and scoring a lot of goals. But I'm open to that changing. But I'm being critical at the moment, and I just don't see it. And I think we do a lot of player blaming, and you got to look at it. I mean, Arteta's making mistakes,
Yes.
and you should expect it because he's never done this job before. So then it goes back to, why have we hired a manager that's never done it before? Wouldn't you expect somebody who's inexperienced to be pretty poor at their job? Yeah. Whenever you've been hired for a new job and you don't know what you're doing, you're pretty crap at it. So why would we expect anything different from Arteta? It's whether or not he can improve quick enough, for us to see the improvements that we should see. And I'm not really seeing it, but hey, that's just me.
They've invested in him though this season. They've invested in him this season, and they've gone for youth. There's a reason why we signed the players we did. We can't attract world-class players. We can't attract players because we don't have European football. They're going to ride the Arteta wave to the end of the season. They're going to give him the opportunity to get us back into Europe. If he fails to do that, he's got to go. If he doesn't, shame on the owners, because then the ambition of this club. Truly, if we fail to qualify for Europe, and here's the other thing too, that I'm afraid of. If we win another domestic cup, which I would love, I love winning silverware. I'd love the League Cup.
Absolutely.
Haven't won it till 1993. They're going to sell us what they did under Wenger, those FA Cups. We've got a team that's good enough to challenge for the Premier League next season. We've got a team that's good enough to go for it and be competitive in the Premier League. And we all know that is not going to be the case. So we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. But if we don't make Europe and they don't sack him, shame on the Cronkies.
100%. Lee, let me bring you in, and I'm going to ask you all a question before we kind of come to a close, because that hour has absolutely flown by. Got a super chat from Chris again. Thank you, Chris. It says, Lee, Arsenal are not a football club anymore. They're the highest gate. What for? Any fan that backs the board and the manager don't understand the beautiful game. Let's be real about stuff here, because we have been fairly negative at times tonight about what we're seeing, and that's fair enough for us to be negative, because that's our opinions. But Lee, I want to bring you on the last final thoughts before we go into the final question, mate. What do you think?
Listen, with all the moaning and groaning, we ain't far off where we want to be. You know what I mean? Like, if we beat Everton, we're 1 point off the top 4. So we've got to say, so we're second manager at this moment in time is a little bit harsh to say. You know what I mean? What we're saying is we've put out points to say what he's got to improve on, and Mike, he's got to do it. And he's got a run of games now where they're very, very winnable, and to take the pressure off. Now, what I'm saying about Mikel Arteta, these 3 games are always going to be difficult. Man United was going to be tough. Everton was always going to be tough. But what he would have done, if he gets the results and positive results, the pressure will come off of him. Now, I said before over these 3 games, if you remember rightly, Dan, you said to me, "What do you reckon we should get out of this?" I said 7 points. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So if we beat Everton, we get 6. So 1 point away from what that isn't a total disaster. If he then goes on and wins 3 or 4 games, now if he does that, and as what we're all saying, if he doesn't get Europe, he's got to be sacked. At this moment in time, he's on course for that. So I don't think we should be saying the sack word to him at this moment in time. What I will say is, if he loses this game against Everton and then loses perhaps a Southampton or a West Ham down the line, we are slipping down that thing. And then I don't think we're going to get Europe. And I think then that word should be mentioned. But at this moment in time, we're still in with a chance of doing well. And that is why this game, I think Sophie said it earlier on in the programme, is a massive game. It's not just a massive game for Arsenal. It is a massive game for our coach and the manager. Now, if I'm on the board, I'm saying, like, at least get Europe. If it doesn't look like he's getting Europe, he's got to go. Now, Tottenham, whether you like it or whether you don't, they got rid of Nuno because, one, they never thought they was going to get top 4 or even Europe, and they got rid. Manchester United didn't get rid of Ollie because they didn't think he was going to get 4th. They got rid of him because they weren't going to win the title, because that was their ambition. What is the ambition of Arsenal? If Arsenal end up 6th or 7th again and they don't sack the manager, there's your ambition. You can have Josh Kroenke going there about this and that and opening his mouth. You know what I mean? The facts are you've come 8th again and you're doing nothing about it. That's the fact. So while we're in with a chance, I'm still going to back Mikel. I'm still going to bloody criticise because I'm pissed off with him at this moment in time. But I'm going to back him because I still think we go to Everton and win. Because do you know what? I think we've got good players. I don't care whatever other people say at the end of the day. Smith Rowe and Saka are the 2 best youngsters in the Premier League. I don't care what anybody at their age. You can talk about your Greenwoods. You can talk about that. They're not in the class of them 2 there. We've got a good back 4. Tommy Asu, by the way, was superb on Thursday. Ronaldo tried to get through him 3 or 4 times with all these little dummies and things like that. Didn't get past him once. So we have improved certainly in places. And we've got Granit Xhaka to come back. I'll leave you with that one.
Oh, don't. That's a way to end it, isn't it? Guys, I'm going to go around. I'm going to let lead judges have the last word, but I'm going to go around to you all. What is a good enough kind of end to the season for Arsenal, for Mikel Arteta, for you to turn around and say, Mikel Arteta, you've done a great job, well played. Lucy, let's start with you. What do you think would be a good job for Mikel Arteta to keep his job this season?
I would say, considering I believe that we're still a work in progress and we've got a long way to go, that 6th would be acceptable for this season. Europa League in 6th place, Big 6, whatever you want to say. I feel like that would be sort of a well-rounded end to a very inconsistent season. But it's got to improve from there. The consistency needs to improve, and we need to have something a little bit more potential, a little bit more hope, something a little bit more to get excited about.
Fair play. Let's come to you, Jess. What do you think?
I guess from a results standpoint, I would say top 6, because that would mean that Arteta has beat one of Conte, Ragnick, or Moyes to that 6th spot. There's 7 teams up there, and there's some straggling behind. He's going to have to beat one of them out. That's going to be very difficult for him to do. So if he does do it, then that means that he's done something right. And then from a kind of like a micro level, I would like to see us go out and pressure teams, get the early goal, and not sink back into our hole. We've done that against maybe 5 teams already, and it's cost us. I would like to see a little bit more attacking threat. Even with the players that we have, I just don't think they're so bad that they can't attack at all. And those are the main things that I'd want to see. But that scoring goals and then conceding all possession for the next 30-40 minutes, not playing until we go behind, that stuff kind of needs to be cut out. And I think that that's an Arteta thing. And that's what I would like to see. But yeah, top 6, because that would mean that he knocks somebody good out of that 6th spot. So I think that would be good enough.
Okay, Soph, let's come to you.
At the start of the season, I just wanted consistency and competitiveness, just to rebuild the Arsenal in the Premier League. No 8th finish, Let's compete. African Cup of Nations, if it goes forward with everything going on in the world, is going to have a massive effect. We have every team, every manager is going to get an opportunity, because you're going to lose some top tier players to that competition. And that is going to have a massive effect in January and early February. Look what's happened to the Euros. Players coming back, England players exhausted, not in form. Probably there's probably one England player that's come back that is playing decent football so far this season. So that is a silver lining for our team, and it's going to be the same for every other team. If we win a domestic trophy, I think that's good, but for the same caveat, as long as we build on that, right? We have to get back into Europe. I don't care if it's through the FA Cup, the League Cup qualifying. We have to be back in Europe. That's the goal. If we do not get back into Europe, I can't see how this manager keeps his job.
Fair play. Lee, I'm going to come to you last. I'm going to have my say first. This is going to be different to a lot of you, and a lot of people are going to throw abuse at me, but I don't care. I'm going to say what I feel. I believe top four is a good job for Mikel Arteta. I don't think coming sixth out of Europe is a good job, because it means that West Ham or Spurs have finished above of us, as well as Manchester United, and that for me is poor when I look at their squad compared to ours. We spent 150 million. We've got no European football. We come 6 points off fourth last year, and if we don't come fourth this year, I don't think that he's done a fantastic job, in my opinion. I think he's done a job that he was expected to do when being outside of Europe. So fourth place for me would allow me to say, do you know what, we've shown a massive amount of progress. We're back into the Champions League. We still have 3 teams finishing above us, but let's be honest, they're 3 of the best teams in the world at the moment. But fourth place for me would be a good season for Mikel Arteta's Arsenal side. Lee Judges, final say, over to you.
If he comes fourth, it's a fantastic job. I will clap him and say that is a fantastic job. If he comes fifth and wins, say, the League Cup, it's acceptable. Anything other than that, bye-bye.
Fair enough. I think that's fair. I don't think you'll get anybody, to be honest, saying that is not the case. If you come out of European football and you do not qualify for it, when you do not have any midweek games, I don't see how you can keep your job. Guys, I've really enjoyed this tonight. I think it's been good therapy, and I think it's needed. It's something that was on the cards for a while, to be honest, because this is going to probably happen again at some point throughout the season where we have this discussion, depending on results, I'm sure. Jess, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you guys, you can just follow me on Twitter at She Knows Arsenal, and then if you go on YouTube, just type in She Knows Arsenal, and you'll see my face, and you can watch me talk more about Arsenal there. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome, and who would not want to see more of the beautiful face of Jess? Get yourself over there to subscribe to Jess's channel at She Knows Arsenal. Lucy, likewise, thank you so much, darling, for coming on. Where can people find you on social media?
So I'm on Instagram and Twitter, and LuceTBH, that's LuceTBH, and I'm often on Highbury Squad as well with Sophie, and obviously the Judges TV to have a rant.
Brilliant.
We love it.
Yeah, we do love your rants, Luce, and thanks so much for your contribution this evening. Sophie, as always, thank you so much for coming on again. Absolutely love podcasting with you. Please tell people where they can follow you and how they can view your content at the Highbury Squad.
Yep, find us at Highbury Squad across all YouTube channels. And tomorrow morning, I'm on Sky Sport Early Kickoff, where hopefully I will be... I'll be standing up for our club, but I'll also be honest. But check it out, and I'll be there. And of course, one Kevin Campbell, Super Kevin Campbell, also on at Highbury Squad as well. So check us out there. Thank you so much for having us. And you know what, everyone in chat, we may agree or disagree, but it's all for the love of the Arsenal. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. Sophie, thank you for your contribution. Guys, we're just about to wrap up, but before we do go, I must let you know about tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. live. We are doing our first watch-along for the Arsenal versus Everton game. It should be a cracker. It should be a good first for the channel. We'll hopefully bring you some more as the games go on throughout the season. So please be sure to set a reminder, 7 o'clock tomorrow night, Lee Judges TV, Arsenal versus Everton. Watch it along with us and see how we can hopefully get 3 points for the Arsenal. Lee Judges, thank you, sir. It's been good to have you back.
Thanks to the girls for participating in the girls' night in and joining the channel. All very, very good. You know, check out Jess. She had makeup on. Didn't have makeup on the other day. Still very nice. So, everything there, like, you know. And obviously, Lucy's my favourite. Obviously, known Lucy for a while, and of course, you can't beat Sophie as a host. And the Hybrid Squad is probably the best. I think the best podcast going. Like, you know what I mean? It's absolutely fantastic. So check them all out. And I. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for the time that you give me. So, and the channel, and I know I'll speak on behalf of myself and Dan and Skigginess Day for that as well, like, you know.
What up, Super Dan?
Thank you all so much. Thanks everybody in the chat as well. Great interaction tonight. Fantastic polls. Over 850 of you at one stage watching live. Fantastic numbers. Great to see you all. And until then, we'll see you next time. Get yourself over tomorrow night. Lead Judges TV at 7. We will see you all then. Good night. God bless.
Support for this video is brought to you by Manscaped. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code LJTV at manscaped.com.